Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Building a Nation, the Analysis Days. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Obviously, we're going to start on this squad run through. Usually we start on Alberto Freitas because he is ranked the highest, but it now turns out that 19-year-old Blaise Ilicic is now considered by my scouts, albeit tied with the others, the best player at the club at only 19 years old. Still only has 2 caps for Poland, but I think next year he's going to finish the season with more than 10. The year he's had has been absolutely outrageous. 18 goals and 16 assists in all competitions for a 19-year-old. 14 league goals and 14 league assists. Just to quickly compare that to last season, he played 1 more game, but got, 8 more goals, 4 more assists, 6 more Man of the Match awards. I think Blaise Ilicic has the ability to be an absolute club legend. And we've had a lot of potential club legends in this save with Fijarczyk and Zvigi and Blaise and now Carroll and even Idchak coming down the line maybe. But I think Blaise could be the one that lasts the longest, and maybe Idchak as well. I think he and Blaise are probably going to be the best 2 players that we're ever going to get through our youth academy. I don't think he'll be able to match this season next year, but you never know if he keeps improving. We don't know where his talent ceiling is based on the fact that, you know, he's still only 19. He's worth nearly £5 million now, which is an awful lot for a player of his age. Anyway, let's not be around the bush and get going a little bit further down the list. Militic, of course, has been out on loan at Celta Vigo this year. 11 goals for them in all competitions, though, is not too bad, in all honesty. Moving off down him, though. Milos Nikolic, of course, has been on loan at NAC. There's going to be quite a few of these. Juan Orozco, what a season. 12 goals and 9 assists for Juan Orozco. He is another one of the players that is an absolute godsend for us. Could still improve. He's already got 5 caps for Argentina. We've got an Argentinian international player. 20 jumping reach. I like to point that out. God, look at that. Passing of 16. Vision of 18. Great technique. I've not actually seen how well he really has improved lately. Just looking at his stats compared to last year. In the league, he's actually got a little bit worse in some respects. Only 2 goals and 5 assists in the league. But it's in the other competitions where he is absolutely just flew. And that's the real difference. He got 7 goals in all comps last year. This year he got 12 because he got 4 in the cup. And more important than that, he got, 6 goals in the Champions League. Was it 6 goals? Yeah, 6 goals and 10 appearances in the Champions League is incredible, including 2. He got a brace and a hat-trick as well. Really, really good performance from him this year. He is our linchpin in the middle of the team. Diego Oyeneda played a reasonable amount for us this year. No goals, few assists for us in there. He's done a decent job. He has signed a new deal at Bayern, though, so he's not going to be coming back, I don't think. But if we can get him back on loan, maybe. We'll see. Panda played a bit less this year. Still doing a decent job for us, though. Love the guy. 26 caps, of course, for Serbia, the big Serb. Ramazan Aslan hasn't played a great deal for us this year, but he's been good to have around the club, and he's still picked up a couple of assists when he's been called into the team. No problems there. Where's Shabal? Of course, yeah, because he's right back. Frederick Raban, we signed him on a whim, basically just to bring him in to give us some boosted numbers. But you look at that, 12 goals in the league for him so far. Or not so far, this season. He's actually a very good return from the young man on loan from PSG. So I can't really fault his contribution this year. He's been an excellent addition, and I really do want to look for strikers in the summer. Tobias Röser, I am a massive fan of this guy, and I think he's got the potential to overtake Leandro Albarracin in the coming years if he carries on performing the way that he is. 11 assists this year. Started 23 times for us in the league. Huge fan of this guy. The consistency, and you can see his potential is just starting to creep down a little bit. Mateus Saavedra, I think he's had a solid first season for us. He wasn't going to be first choice this year to Campagnaro. He's got 6 goals and 4 assists. I think he could have had more goals if his finishing was better, and I think he could definitely do with upping the number of assists, but he's had a solid year, and he's still only 21. Lots of room to improve for him. Petr Shebal, I think he's had a decent year. He's not played a great deal in the league, in all honesty, and I think injuries have just kind of caught up with him a little bit this season, but I still think that there's a long way to go for him when he comes back after Christmas, in theory. Diego Silva, another player I'm incredibly happy with his performances this year again, stacking up the results. Wow, we are really lacking in these positions, Jesus. Still, I think he's an excellent footballer, and maybe we do need to look for other players in those positions, but I still think he's an incredibly good player, and it's just some of the other players that outperforming him now, because he's still a star player in this league. Max Smith, less said about him the better. He didn't really play a great deal for us. We just didn't really need him. Mark Stamler, of course, has been out on loan at Sevilla, and wow, I mean, look at that. An average of a 6.59 over 30 appearances. If someone wants him, I'm willing to let him go. He's already made back a load of money. Look at the transfer, the actual loan fee was £3 million. That's how much Sevilla have paid us this year in his loan fee. He's actually made us more money than it cost us to buy him, and we still have him. If we move him on in the summer, I'll be very pleased. Hernan Triviero. It's not been the best season for him yet, but I still think there's a long way to go for this lad, and he's up against quite a few, tough cookies in that role with Jovanovic and Gorosito around, but he's still an excellent player to have at the club, and I'm really pleased with him. Victor Hugo, still here, 131 appearances for us. He's been here for a very, very long time now. He's still capable of doing a job. Got a couple of goals in the league where he missed that huge chance against Real, though. That could have sent us through. But there you go. Haldor Christian Vitharsen, of course, has been on loan at Fulham this year. He's going to be leaving for 2.5 million at the end of the season as well, which will give us some extra cash. Davor Vinjevic, again, he's just a useful lad to have around the club because he's sort of a team leader, I believe. Hasn't really... Well, actually, he's played a fair amount this year, just surprisingly. He's just a useful player to have, quite frankly, and I'll be happy to keep him, to be honest. Moving on, Donny Waterberg. How's he done out on loan at Utrecht? Well, I mean, he hasn't played a great deal for them. What I would say is they did get in the Champions League. He'll be very useful to have at the club next season, though. I think having Lisic and then Waterberg as his backup next year, I think is going to be much... I think that's the way we're going to go. Victor Hugo will probably slip down the order a little bit, but I think Waterberg needs to get some football and needs to get it now. So he's going to be definitely second choice next year. Leandro Albarracin, love the lad. I really, really do. Over 100 appearances for us in all in the league already. Really, really like the guy. I think he's got a long way. He's still decent, you know. He's still ahead of Versa, but that's definitely coming down. And remember, we're really stacked in that one, though, because we've got Thiago Veras and Abraham Opoku coming through in that left-back slot. We don't need to sign a left-back for a long time. Ignacio Bonavento, still like this guy. He's definitely a decent backup. He's played a decent number of games this year. Pleased with his performances. Anthony Campagnaro, he's the guy that just amazes me. A guy I signed as a backup originally. Has played 87 league matches for us, and he continues to do well, you know. His contract is up next summer, so I think he might be one that moves on this summer because we're never going to get more money for him than this year, and I'm not going to give him a new contract because even last summer when I was looking at it, he wanted stupid money, and he's only going to want more this money. I'll check. I'll try. If he doesn't want ridiculous money and he's willing to put in like a wage clause or something, then I might try and get him on a new deal. But if not, I'll probably try and move him on for some big money because he's probably never going to go. He's never going to go for any more than he is right now because he is a 27-year-old. So that's the way I'm looking at that. Herman Carballo, I'd like to hopefully move on in the summer due to his wages. He's played 34 times for Paris FC as they were relegated this year, but at least they paid most of his wages. So I'll look to move old Carballo on. Still got 7 caps for Poland, which is very impressive. Mateusz Żwigała also has 7 caps for Poland, couple of goals. He got one against England, which is nice. 128 appearances for us now in the league, 77 goals. That is impressive. I really like the guy. Still only 20 years old. I mean, this year, 35 goals, 23 in the league. He got 7 in the Champions League, 5 in the Cup. There's no competition that he's not got goals in. Like, he's looked bad. Like, 7 goals in 10 Champions League matches is incredibly good for a 20-year-old, like, in all honesty. And 23 goals in 25 appearances in the league is brilliant. I think that's the best season we've ever had from a striker in this save. Bunyamin Eichelkamp has been out on loan at Freiburg. How's he done this year? A few goals and assists here and there, not too bad. Big old Ruben Franceschi, or someone called him PK Thunder. 137 appearances for us. Still had a decent year. 6 goals conceded in the league, 16 clean sheets is still bloody excellent from the man. Iglesias, I feel like, is going to start to give him a run for his money potentially, but we'll look to see how they compare. And obviously we've got Artur Piscula, the youngster that came through. It'd be nice to get him some game time. Even so, Alberto Freitas is still in here as well, which is always very nice to see. 100 appearances in the league he's now made for Polonia Warszawa. 23 years old, 14 caps for Portugal. I love this guy so much. I hope he stays for the entirety of his career. He feels like a potential like Bruno Bridges in terms of maybe get him a testimonial one day type of player. I don't know how many seasons he's already done with us, maybe 6 or 7. This was actually, amazingly, only his 5th year at the club. Cost us £3 million, but I feel like it's been more than worth it. Like, comfortably worth it for bringing him in. Jacobo Garcia, a very capable deputy in the midfield, does an excellent job. 113 league appearances. My God, he actually played a lot for us. He's a very good player. I can't deny how good he is. Jorge Gomez, of course, has been out on loan at Groningen. He feels like one that maybe didn't quite make the cut. So if we could move him on in the summer to a club, he's worth decent money and he's got decent wages. So if we could move him on, I wouldn't be opposed to selling him off to someone in the summer because it just seems like he might not have the ceiling that we thought he might have done. Brian Gorosito, what an absolute ledge. Another 3 appearances for Argentina as well. 61 appearances for us, 21 goals. He got 7 in the league this year, 4 assists, 12 goals in all competitions. How did you do compared to last year in the league? In fact, he did better. He got 4 man of the match awards, he got more assists, and the same number of goals. You're basically guaranteed 7 goals in the league every season from Brian Gorosito, and I'm all right with that if he keeps doing it. But he keeps doing it in less games, and that's always important. Idjak, of course, yeah, we haven't seen much from him really. Just the one start and the one substitute appearance. But, oh, God, he's already lost the first touch. God damn it. Well, that's not worked out well, has it? Hopefully he'll gain that one back. I think he was probably right on the edge. It was probably like an 18.6, which is why it showed as 19. So now it's dropped to like 18.4 because they're actually slightly broken down differently to that. Juan Martin Iglesias, he is continuing to improve, and I do wonder, how's he done in the league? He's conceded 5 in 15 and kept 10 clean sheets. I do want to compare him to Franceschi and see where we need to go for this next year, because I am interested. I've also got Ibon Iriondo, who has basically just been making us money from his loan spells over the last few seasons. Well, he cost us £600,000 for Cadiz, and we've nearly made back his entire transfer fee, although he did concede 65 goals this season. So make of that what you will. Vadim Ivanov, yeah, I mean, he was just a useful player to have, and I'm very glad we did have him this year because of Shabal's injury. If we can get him back on loan next year, I'd be happy to. But I don't know. I want to look for right backs. I think left back we're fine in. Yamrog, did he play at all? He played one league game for us this year. I don't think he even went out on loan. What could have been with old Przemysław Yamrog? Still only 78 appearances for us. Never got an international cap. He was in the squad once, but he never actually got onto the pitch, which is a shame for him, but not so bad for me because, you know, international clauses and all that. Vladimir Jovanovic actually didn't play for us a great deal this year. He just couldn't get in the squad because of Gorosito and Carroll and Triviero. Yeah, it's a weird one for him. He had a brilliant season last year where he absolutely tore things apart with 12 league goals. That being said, when he has played this year, he's been bloody excellent. So he's definitely a useful player to have around the club, and I'll be definitely keeping him around. Carroll, I like this guy a lot. 8 league appearances, he's got 3 goals from attacking midfield. He's continued to improve, although the consistency is a slight issue. I like him a lot. I feel like, you know, he's got under 21 goals. He's definitely got something there, although his natural fitness could be a slight concern for me. Kevin's one of these players that I think if another Polish club particularly comes in, I would definitely be tempted to sell him to them because he's just not been able to get into the team as much this year. We've just had more players in those situations, and I think it might finally be time for Kevin to move on. He's nearly got 100 appearances in the league for Polonia, which is actually mental when you think about it, considering how he's always been a bit part player. He's one hell of a bit part player, and we're back to Blaise Lisic. Right, let's go and check out the league stats. Also, don't worry about all the down hours on a lot of those players. It's because we're on the match day, so they always get that. Average possession. God damn it. We're usually trying to finish ahead of Gurnik, and this time Lekia have pipped us to the post. How unfortunate. Penalties taken, 12, and we've only scored 75% this year. I would have liked to have thought Zviggy could have... I mean, I know he's missed at least 2, so we'll have to have a look at that. Headers 1, well, up there, which is nice. Headers 1 ratio, up there, which is nice. Good stuff. Yellow cards were a bit higher on it this year, which is surprising, actually. And we have had a red card, of course, in the league. I can't remember who it was. No, I actually can't remember. Goals, 94, so definitely less than last year, but still pretty damn solid. Still more than anyone else by, like, 2/3. Cross completion, 20%. Absolutely glorious. Crosses complete. Nearly 500 crosses. Goals from corners, up there, which is good. Direct free kicks. 5 of those. Yeah, Zviggy definitely got a couple. Goals from indirect free kicks. A couple, which is nice. Pass completion, 85%. God, us, Lekia, and Gurnik. You can see who's trying to play proper football, can't you? Passes completed. Also, Lekia, Gurnik, and us, and the giant drop down to everyone else. Lekia really do pass that ball around well. Chances created, 83. That's more like it. Lovely old job. Sorry, I thought there was a wasp in the room. Shots on target ratio. Oh, if we could just bump that up a little bit, we'd have probably got there. 451 shots on target. Mental. Conversion rate is down at 9% though, because we do tend to have a few long range strikes because of the way our tactic works now. But I do feel like overall we're still better, so I'm all right with that. Fouls against, that's fine. Dribbles per game, 9. No surprises there. Conceded, 11. Not as good as it was last year, I grant, but still not bad, to be honest. Conceded from corners, 1. There's always 1. Conceded from direct free kicks? None. Yes, boys. What about indirect? Yeah, 4 of our goals this season. 5, in fact, of our 11 goals have come from set pieces. Frustrating. 26 clean sheets, the most. Very nice. Fouls made, lowest. Very nice. Tackles. Ooh, I suppose we won so much of the ball. Tackles 1 ratio, we're up there, which is fine. Penalties conceded. Not a single penalty. Always lovely to see. Average attendance. It's always down there, to be honest. Average attendance by capacity, though, we're nearly there. How many sellouts? 14. Zag always sell out their stadium. They've got a great fan base, I tell you. Highest average attendance, unfortunately, is only the 10,000. Lowest attendance, we're usually all right with that one. Finances. Here we go. Net transfer spend. Would you believe? Katowice. £15 million they spent. How do they keep doing this? Ours, we're minus 41 million. We've made £41 million in transfer fees because that takes into account all the loan fees over the course of the season and all sorts of other stuff. So, yeah, it's been a good year for us in terms of money, it's fair to say. We do have the highest salary in the league, but still only by like £1 million over Katowice, who are still I don't understand them. They are so strange as a club. It's mental. What is nice to see, though, is the fact that Katowice, Lechia, and Lech are all secure financially. In fact, we can have a look, because Katowice have usually got about £20 million in the bank, because we can see it from this menu here when it eventually loads. Come on. There we go. 25 million in the bank, which is nice. So does that mean that the likes of Lechia and Lech also have £20 million in the bank? Because that would be pretty nice. 27 million for Lechia. That's nice to see. And I guess that's because of the Champions League success this year. I wonder why Lech have got so much money. Maybe they're just on the cusp of being secure. 14 million, although they have lost money this year, so perhaps not. My next question, though, is why are Motor considered secure? Do they have big financial backing as well? That's the only thing I can think of. 6 million, so no, they don't. Okay, I don't know what that means then. Oh dear, players not happy there. Point is, Katowice have got loads of money. Lechia also have loads of money, so expect them to be spending well in the summer, I would have guessed. God, we've made so much money this year. We've got £71 million in the bank currently. I'm going to try to spend some of it, but it's really difficult at the moment. I think this summer might be the one where we actually do have a bit of a blowout, to be honest. Motor, it's a shame to see them get relegated, to be honest. Right, player detail. There's where we want to go. So, let's move on. Games won, Blaise Leasik, 23 games won. Brilliant stuff. Games lost. Is that the most lost? Oh, it's the most lost. The show doesn't show you the least. Red cards. Oh, somebody's had a few of those. Oh, Artur Kowalczyk. I think he was a former Isle player. Shabal. Oh, he was the one that got red carded. Of course he was. Player of the Match Awards. Of course, that means Leasik. He tied with Emiliano Diaz. Zviggy also got 7. Gorosito with 4. Oyeneda and Rosa got a few as well. Average covered. I don't know if we normally have anyone on here at all, actually. No, I think our tactic relies on us keeping most of the ball. Wow, look at that. We have the entire top 7 of players on that one. Leasik, the best player in the league. He has to win Player of the Year, surely. Quevedo of Lech Poznan in there too. Orozco, then Diaz. Saavedra got on there. Garcia, Raban, Silva. As usual, dominant. No surprises there. Headers won, I think will probably be... Oh no, Zviggy won a lot of headers. That makes sense, actually. Goals. 23 goals for Zwigawa. 14 for Leasik and 12 for Raban. Gorosito on there with 7 as well. But the fact that we had 3 players get into double figures this year is astonishingly good. Really, really pleased with those 3 guys. The fact that Zviggy as well broke 20 in the league is very, very good. I don't think he's ever done that before. He had one really good year. Oh no, he got 22 one season, but he's actually done better this year with his 23. Less assists, though. He's focusing more on being a striker, I guess. When he plays as a shadow striker, I'm guessing it allows him to create more. Minutes per goal, obviously, Zviggy is up there, but Raban is not bad either, to be honest. He's very much where you want him to be. 181 shots for Zwigawa. That is a lot, and nearly 100 on target. I mean, that means his conversion ratio is actually pretty appalling. And if he could just be what I would say, though, is it means we're creating that many shots for our strikers. And if we could just find one that is lethal, like completely lethal, we could absolutely destroy this league. Like 40 goals a season kind of striker, potentially. Blaise Leasik has the most shots on target ratio of what's that? 57%, which is very, very nice. Vicky at 54 is actually pretty decent. I'm prepared to say that. Conversion ratio, Raban at 16%. God, imagine if Zviggy had Raban's conversion ratio. Then again, they can't be that much lower. Team goals. Oyenieda's been on the pitch for 66 team goals. There you go, Zviggy. So he scored 5 of his 8 penalties. He could have had 3 more. It's a shame. Oprish scored 1, Kevin scored 1, and then Jacobo Garcia scored the other one. Interesting about Oprish, we've got the ability to sell the 50% of next sale fee clause to Leipzig for £9.6 million, which would bring the deal's total to about 18 million it would have cost them. Now, I'm not sure whether to hang on to that clause because he's worth £30 million and they might sell him because it is Leipzig, or sell it up now. I think the way I'm going to look at it is if I need the money later in the transfer window to facilitate a deal, then I'll sell them the clause because £10 million of extra cash could make it very, very useful for us. Assists? Leasik, 14. Rursa, 11. Campagnaro, 6. Ivanov, 6. And Orozco, 5. Very nice. Key passes. Orozco, 38. Leasik, 29. Yeah, you'll notice that Zwigawa's not on here anymore. He created a lot of chances and, key passes before, but now that he's playing as a striker, he's not. Chances created, Gorosito, 8. Leasik, 8. Zviggy does make chances, though, interestingly. Pass completion, wow. Look at this. 94% pass completion, but Bonavento and Silva both on 91. Orozco, lovely old job. The cross completion one is always a bit skewed, although 26% for Leasik is insane. Dribbles per game, okay. Leasik is climbing up there, as is Saavedra. Notice Campagnaro nowhere to be seen on this. That does show me something, actually. Team conceded 6 goals. We've only conceded 6 goals while Oyenieda, Franceschi and Saavedra have been on the pitch. Mental. Mistakes leading to goals. In theory, we should have no one. Good stuff. We normally have on the mistakes one, but no, interesting. Key tackles. Ivanov's made 6 key tackles this year. Great. 102 key headers for Zvigi. 55 these two, and yeah, of course, 49 is there as well. Interceptions made. Mateusz Konefal, our former player playing for Wisła Krakow, seems to have had a pretty remarkable season for them, in all honesty. It's nice to see him still having a good time, though. No one on there at all for interceptions for us, unfortunately. Headers 1 ratio. Anyone at all? No. So, wow, that's interesting. Maybe they just haven't had to win that many headers? I don't know. Conceding. Look at that. Only 6 goals conceded for Franceschi. Unfortunately, we won't have the maximum number of clean sheets because Maka played a full season for Lech Poznan. I get the feeling that he's not going to be at Lech forever because who's interested in him? Juventus, and apparently it's because I've got him on the shortlist to keep an eye on him. My concern is they might lose this guy, and I don't really want them to. I'm tempted. If I noticed that someone like Juve put a bid in, I might be tempted to try and match that bid on a deal that gives them a loan back for 2 years so that they keep hold of him, but he stays in the Polish league while playing for Lech Poznan, because I want to try and keep players in the league as much as possible, and I'd be tempted to just literally keep loaning him to them. I don't know. It's just an idea. I'm really struggling to find out how to do that or to keep players in the league. Most saves held. Look at that. So few. He's only saying... That's mental. But then they've barely played. So there you go. Nice to see. Wow, Franceschi's 28. So Martinez has got 8 years his junior. Right, now on to the real stuff, the comparisons. Now, we can't really see a great deal from this. But, and I think this is important, dead even on this. And the last 5 games for them, they've both got the same amount of determination and their personalities are the same. And they are both Argentinian. Now, Iglesias has played less minutes, which is fine. But what I would say... Now, the thing is, though, Franceschi's played in Europe against, like... there is a way to... I think there is a way to... Someone told me about this. You can use the stats comparison. If we compare him with Franceschi... with like this, and then go to the stats page, apparently you can choose... Here we go. So, the league performances. This is quite important because there's no point in comparing them based on... We've only got a limited number of things we can compare on here, because, like, Continental... Iglesias hasn't played. So let's compare their league stats to get an idea. So Franceschi does still concede less goals per 90 minutes, and his pass completion is vastly better. He does, however, have a worse average rating, quite interestingly. But it does sort of still go to show to me that... So, yeah, he's conceded 6 goals in 22 compared to 5 goals in 15. He's got 16 clean sheets compared to 10. So, at the moment, still, just about, Franceschi is the man for the league job over Iglesias. So, that does suggest to me that he is still just about the man. But I do wonder if it is time to start maybe phasing Juan Martín Iglesias in a little bit more. But then again, we can still play Franceschi for the Champions League next year and use Iglesias as our main league goalkeeper. And then, he needs to put up better numbers than Franceschi over a season. If he can do that over a year, then I will make him our first choice goalkeeper. But for now, Franceschi is still putting up the better numbers. It's undeniable. I don't know if they've got any, cup comparisons. They have, actually. So... He's conceded no goals in the cup whatsoever and has a 96% pass completion. I just think he's slightly better. For whatever reason, for what we do, he just does a better job. I do wonder if his passing is a lot better. 8 compared to 11. Really, really weird. Is his vision better? No. And yet he always has a much better pass completion rate. Don't know what it is. It's really, really interesting. So, yeah, I still think Franceschi is the man for the job. We've got other players coming through, and I think for goalkeepers we are fully set, though, as Iglesias will continue to develop because he's going to be getting game time. Right, let's move on to fullbacks. Okay, so fullbacks. So on the left, we're looking at basically Röser versus Albarracin. And on the right-hand side, we're looking at basically Ivanov versus Shabal versus Aslan. Aslan's played a decent number of minutes, so we can sort of still take him into account with this. But remember, 2 of them are on loan, so it's hard to know. Well, I think this comparison between Röser and Albarracino is going to be very, very interesting. We might even do a proper comparison using that other menu too, just to really sort of zero in on a few things. So, key things firstly. Assists per 90 minutes. Röser, 13 assists in 26 appearances. Albarracin, none in 27 appearances. That actually is quite a stark difference. Like, Röser gets an assist every other game. By this definition, if Albarracin was keeping up with that, he should have 14 assists as well. That is actually quite a huge decline in that area. Not a single assist in any competition this year. And that is actually somewhat worrying. On the right, Shabal is the same as Ivanov, and Aslan is coming out slightly ahead of both of those two, which is kind of interesting. He was always very good at that kind of stuff. Imagine if we had a sort of Röser on one side, Aslan on the other. They really do know how to assist goals. That is for sure. Unfortunately, Aslan, I believe, is moving at the end. Yeah, he's joining Marseille at the end of the season, which is a shame. I didn't know he was leaving, and we could have maybe put a bid in for him, but I think maybe the wages would have been too much. I don't know. Chances created per 90 minutes. Aslan again out on top. Shabal up there too, though. Ivanov down towards the bottom. Rursa again outperforming Albarracin very, very comfortably. Shabal doing a better job, though, than Ivanov in... He's just slightly shading him. In fact, no, he's massively overdoing him in that one. So that's an interesting one. Pass completion, they're all relatively close. Nothing huge there. Key passes per 90 minutes. Shabal massively out in front. Well, actually, no. He's up there with Ivanov again. But again, is slightly outperforming the £59 million player from PSG. Is being outperformed by a 19-year-old from the Czech Republic who cost 70 grand. But most importantly, again, Aslan is falling way behind on that one. Rursa, again, massively up there compared to Albarracin. The only thing I can think of is that Albarracin is better at the defensive side of things, and Rursa has massively stepped up this year from an attacking perspective. Let's check out dribbles per game. It's identical. Shabal, again, performing better. Rursa, again, performing much, much better than Albarracin. That is a huge difference. Aslan is good at the assist part, but he does seem to lack on every other stat compared to those two. What about cross completion? Albarracin, 22% cross completion, yet not one assist from the end of his crosses. Rursa at 20%, though, is still very, very good, and I think that's a definite step up from last season. Shabal at 17, again, outdoing his compatriot. Aslan, not so good. Team Concede, what about the defensive side of things? Here we go, this is what's important. So, Rursa is actually equal to Albarracin on that one. He's better, basically. Shabal, again, massively better than Ivanov as well. He's really, really good. I'm very impressed with him. What about tackles won ratio? Rursa, 89% tackles won, a full 10% higher. Shabal is slightly lacking behind Ivanov on this one, and again, Aslan's starting to drop off there. Interceptions. Rursa and Albarracin is slightly better there, but it is negligible, in all honesty. Shabal is a fair amount behind Ivanov on this one, so Ivanov does win in that category, and Aslan is, again, nowhere to be seen. Headers won ratio. Rursa, 72 isn't bad. Albarracin is massively better in the air. We know that already. He's much taller. He's what, 6'4"? 6'2", compared to Rursa, who is 6'1". Actually, that's quite a difference considering. I'm guessing he has better jumping reach, though, maybe. That's what kind of matters more, isn't it? Jumping reach of 15 compared to a jumping reach of 15. 8 headers. Rursa, 8 headers. Strength, maybe? 17 strength. Rursa, 15 strength. Rursa should be better in the air than he is, to be honest, and that might be a slight fault in his game. Interesting. I'm just going to do the comparison thing like we've done with... promote top target. Where's the top? Oh, yeah, I'm looking at a guy from... what's he called? From Hoffenheim, called Jens Kirstel, who looks like a really solid centre-back. I don't know why I'd promote it through him, though. I'd probably use someone like Rursa because he's German. Right, so Albarracin, I want to compare to Rursa. Why doesn't he appear on that menu? Like, to me... If he's a left back, he should show up on that menu. Right, Tobias Rursa. We want statistics. And we want league, really, because they've both got a decent number of appearances in the league. So, assists per 90 minutes is massively higher. Key passes, he's massively higher. Pass completion is basically the same. Shots on target is irrelevant. Rursa wins more tackles. His tackles won ratio is vastly higher. It doesn't cover more difference, and he does have a slightly better average rating. Rursa has had a better season. If we just average that to overall, again, assists better. Key passes better. Pass completion the same. Tackles won. Albarracin does win more tackles in Europe, is what I would say, and he does have a slightly better average rating based on some of his European performances, but Rursa is definitely giving him a run for his money this year, and I do wonder if Tobias Rursa is very, very close to making that step up to being the first choice next season, given that, because of Albarracin's lack of creativity, whereas Rursa seems to have a real knack for putting the ball on people's head. It's not like Albarracin hasn't played in the league. He's started 13 games and not got a single assist, whereas Rursa started 23 games and got 11 assists in that time. I mean, that is a huge difference between the two of them. What is the main like, in theory, there should be no excuse for that. Like, Albarracin is better than him in virtually every area. There's no reason why he should be getting so bad in that. And he's actually somewhat impressive, the acceleration, but everything else he's better than. But that is a huge difference. Very, very interesting. So obviously we're going to lose Ivanov and Aslan in the summer, so I'm going to, again, look for right-back situations. But we've got Shabal, who I think has done a really solid job next year, and he's only going to get better. That's the key thing. He's 19, and he's only going to improve. So I'm happy with that. Left-back, we're fine. We've got tons of players waiting in the wing with Apoku and Veras as well. So we're absolutely stacked in that area. It's the right-back spot that I still want to keep trying to improve as well. So yeah, we'll go after that. Now centre-backs. So here are the usual lads in the centre-back spot. I really do want to try and find some youngsters. It's been really difficult over the last couple of years trying to find anyone who has the heading, tackling, marking, solid height. kind of situation. That's all I really want from a centre-back. But they just, I don't know, we just really struggle to find any. I'm going to really deep dive this summer. We know we need to improve in this area and find more players to bring through, because our youngest one is now 23, and that's actually the best one, amazingly. So just looking at pass completion, they're all over a reasonable thing here, which is fine. Team goals per 90 minutes isn't that important, really, but all, again, reasonable. Vinjevic up towards the top, but he's probably played more league games. Key passes, Vinjevic and Onyet, but you can see that Pandurovic is massively behind on that one. He's not a good passer of the ball, is he? Passing of 9, vision of 11. It's not that bad. Team conceded per 90 minutes. Vinjevic and Onyet. Freitas is actually the most, but again, played in Europe, so perhaps there is that option. Their tackles won ratio are, look at that, 100% tackles won. They're all massively good, and that's fine by me. Interceptions, though, Onyet, Pandurovic, Freitas, again, out in front, doing a decent job. Headers won ratio, Pandurovic is not greatest with that, to be honest. Freitas, again, isn't great. I'm happy having all 4 of these guys around at the club, because they're all capable of doing a solid job for us. Obviously, Onyet is going to go, so that's why I think we definitely do need to look into... I haven't just seen the average ratings. They've all had solid seasons, to be honest. But we definitely do need to look into signing a couple of young centre-backs that can slowly start to work their way into the squad over the coming season, because that is an area we are very much lacking in now, to the point where I've had to put people like Bonavento as centre-back once or twice this year, just because we've got nothing in terms of, like, if you just turn on the B team and the under-19 squad, you can just see that there's very little coming through here. Falcao's still here, and then it's just a load of youth players. There's just nobody that stands out to me as being potentially excellent as a centre-back for us, and that to me is why we definitely need to have a look at centre-backs in the summer. So young centre-backs, very important. Unless I can find an amazing one too, then I'll obviously go for them as well. But that's a key area. Right back, first team hopefully, centre-backs, backup, and potentially first team as well. Right, defensive midfielders. As with last season, again, it's a battle of these two, the 23-year-olds, and I assume that Silva is probably going to come out slightly on top. He always seems to. 91% pass completion each, though. More key passes for Silva. Tackles won ratio, higher, but more interceptions for Bonavento. He's also better in the air. He wins more aerial challenges, and we can see less goals per 90 minutes. Now, I want to compare that based on league stats, so we're going to do the old comparison here with my man Diego Silva. Where is he? Where are you, Silvers? There he is. Diego Silva. Let's go statistics. And we want league. How many? Yeah, 14 versus 23. That's a decent amount to have a look at. So Diego Silva, more league key passes. There's a better passer of the ball. Their pass completion is dead heat. Shots on target, more of those. Not that that's super important. Tackles won, more of those. That is kind of important. Tackles won completion ratio is basically the same, and he covers more ground. He is still putting up better numbers. And does this change if we go to the club one? Yeah, his pass completion drops a tiny bit because of Europe. But other than that, what about the Cup? Interestingly, Bonavento's done all right in the Cup games, but I think that's because he was playing in some of the earlier rounds where we had to rest players, so that's not entirely a fair response. It's this one that tells me still Diego Silva is the man. But I still think that we, again, similar to the centre-back position, I know we talked about this last year as well, there's not a lot in terms of potential coming through the club. Like, Filipowicz is a youngster. We've got Devalier Hibert, who's joining... Who's he joining? He's joining someone at the end of the year. It's like Marseille or something. Toulouse. He's had a really long career here and has played a grand total of 0 appearances for us in his entire career here. But he's done a lot of good for a lot of teams. So it's nice to see him continue his career. I'm a fan of the guy, but I felt like it was time for him to move on. Kokada is another one of these guys that we've just been loading him out repeatedly. And look at that, 10k loan there. But look, £625,000 loan he went to play for Toulouse. It's mental. And I think he's still got more time in his contract, so he could go out for another season or maybe sell him this summer. But again, defensive midfielders, youngsters, we need to find some more quality in that area. And I'm going to, again, try to focus in that area. I'm going to make a list on my spreadsheet, not my spreadsheet, like my Google Doc on the right. Because again, defensive midfielders, I'm happy where they are, but we do need to bring through some young blood as well. That's a focus is really on that right now. I'm happy with the area, but we definitely need to improve the future for that. Because we've got some good young blood coming through some other areas, but defensive midfield and centre-back is very vastly underrated in that area. So yeah, centre mids. It's a very similar story in the CM situation, really. Got one guy who's probably just the best of the two in Juan Orozco. Look at him. In goals per 90 minutes, he's better. Assists per 90 minutes, he's better. His pass completion is better. Weirdly, his chance creation is worse. And he hasn't completed a single cross this year, apparently, somehow. Key passes is relatively the same, so interesting. And he does win more tackles. Nearly the same on interceptions, about the same in the air, although he does win more headers overall. We do concede more goals, but again, he's played in more games, so we can do a league comparison in a minute. So we'll do the same thing again, so we can have another deeper look and just filter out the right stuff. So we want to compare Orozco with my man Garcia. There he is. So yeah, overall we don't want that, we want league. So 22 versus 11. So he's only played 11 league games, interesting. How many overall? not a great deal. But he's got some substitute appearances too. So goals per 90 minutes, he has, interestingly, scored more goals. He got 3 goals in those 11 appearances compared to the 2 goals that Juan Orozco got in the league. He's not been great for goal scoring in the league, but he has been good for assists. Key passes, interesting, again, slightly lower. Pass completion, slightly lower. Shots on target, more for Jacobo Garcia, but he does win way less tackles per 90 minutes, and his percentage is way lower. Generally speaking, though, that means that he's, I think, a better goal scorer for the league, but he can't create anything really particularly, and he's way worse defensively in the league. If you then spread that to overall, it gets even more start. Like, the goal scoring actually becomes more in favour of Juan Orozco, and he only wins on key passes a tiny bit. Shots on target is tied, and his tackles 1 per 90 minutes does improve. That's improves quite a lot, actually, when you compare that. It goes from 0.48 to 0.65, so interesting that. But again, I still feel like Orozco is the man for the job, and Jacobo Garcia is just an excellent deputy. And again, once again, similar story in this position too. When we go to the B team and the under-18s, you can see, potential-wise, we've got Filipovic, we've got Djidzic, we do have Idshak now, so we do have one player of quality. You won't see him in here because I filtered out players I put in the first team. So any first teamers that I don't want to put in, I just put into the squad and then go hide players in match squad. So he is there too. If I just remove this, you can see loads of other players, but a lot of them are players like right wingers, attacking midfielders. It's just my way of customizing the filters. So yeah, the way I'm looking at it is we do at least have Idshak coming through. That's one player who could potentially be in that position, but I still want to look for more guys to get there. So we've at least got one understudy, but I would like a couple more young quality players to just sort of be around the squad and have options for that role for playing in the league games next year to develop them, because that's basically what our league is now. It's a development league, and again, we need to do that. So right back, first choice. Centre back, first choice maybe, definitely some backup players that can be youngsters for the future. DM, same story. CM, same story. We really do need to focus on finding some young talent, and I think I've built up a better shortlist this summer that I can go after. There's a Greek goalkeeper I'm looking out for, who's going to cost us about £4 million, I think, but he looks like he could be a really, really solid option, and being Greek, it would be a different country for us to sign a player from, and I'm more interested in building up a bit more of a cosmopolitanness from the squad rather than going for another Brazilian or another Serb. You know how it can be. So yeah, so now we'll move on to the attacking mids. This should be a bit more interesting because I think we've got more variety in those areas. So attacking midfield is an area that I actually do think we're very, very strong in, and that's a nice situation. I don't believe we're in a situation where we've got to go out and sign players because they're reasonably young and they're still doing excellently with more room to grow. That, to me, is a key factor. I've excluded Kevin for this because he only played 300 minutes, but I feel like Carroll's played enough for me to include him, and he's actually had a really breakout season for me. Forced into the squad due to some of the restrictions, but he's done an excellent job when he's been in the team, so he thoroughly deserves his place here and could easily work his way into being a first team regular next season, probably get more like 20 appearances overall, and that's nice to see. So we've got some players coming through in this area too. Just have a quick gander at the actual stats and then we can talk about the future for this area. So goals per game, again, as you can see, Carroll really, really up there. Gorosito up there as well. So looking at this, it feels like to me, Gorosito is my first choice, obviously, but Carroll is working his way into being second choice, and that's why, really, because he's just been better. Triviero's been really poor on that side. Assist-wise, again, Gorosito excellent. Carroll not doing badly, I mean, compared to the others, basically. Chances created, again, he's second in command on that one as well. That one's a bit irrelevant. Pass completion, 90% pass completion as well for Kaza. Kaza? I don't need to shorten his name anymore. Key passes per 90 minutes. Again, he's coming in second on that one as well. Massively behind Gorosito, which would explain a lot. Headers 1. He's better in the air than all of the others, which is great. Shots on target could do with a bit of a work on. Dribbles per game. Again, he's not far off the pace. Jovanovic is actually decent on that one. I think Carroll's had a great year. You can see that Triviero's had a really poor season this season, like, goes without saying. A 6.74 over that many appearances is actually awful. Although I do think that he's made 14 substitute appearances, which really does drag that down. Because if you come on for like the last 20 minutes and just get like a 6.7 because there's a little time to do anything, it really does drag the rating down. So I think that's a bit unfair on him, but he's still not been good. What I have noticed, though, is just how good Carroll has been. Like, that's a legitimately good season from the lad. He's still only 18 years old. I'm a huge fan of him, and I think he's going to get a lot more football next year. We do need to work on his consistency, though. It's nice to have Jovanovic and Triviero around, though, because of the resolute and perfectionist personalities, which makes them excellent for mentoring, because they do have all-right squad statuses, and it's very useful for people like Idshak to get that personality of Fickle away from him. So that's important. Just taking a look at what we've got coming through beyond that, It's not great, I don't think, but he doesn't actually need to be. We do have Sepe in there as well as an option. He did have some minutes this year, but that was mostly, I think, as a loan spell. I'm not really sure. But the fact is, we're not that bothered. If I find any excellent young players, I'll still try to pick them up, because we do have Eichelkamp and people like that. There's plenty of other players around the club. I think attacking midfield is not an area we're weak in, really, because we do only have one spot available now, and we've got about 4 or 5 players that could fill that role. So I think I'm totally happy with that spot right now. And now, strikers. We'll come to wingers last this time around. First time I've actually used this since the Stockport days. So it's Robban versus Vigawa. I'm interested to see who's actually performed well, because I wonder if Robban has done better than we thought he had. He is a year older, though, remember, so his ability is slightly more developed. Goals per 90 minutes, Zviggy is slightly higher, but Robban has certainly been an excellent option in that role. You know, a 14 goals this year is still excellent. Assists-wise, again, Zviggy much, much better than Robban because of that sort of shadow striker ability. Again, Zviggy, more chances created. Less crosses, though. Better on the passing. Key passes, vastly better. He hits the target more. He has more shots on target. Way more shots overall. He's much, much better in the air. He's won so many headers. He dribbles a little bit less. The only thing Zviggy's not won in is the dribbling. I'm going to do the quick comparison like we have done, though, just so we can just sort of see if there's anything that stands out maybe on league comparison, because Zviggy's played in other cups. So it might actually make Zviggy even better, to be honest. Where is Robban? There he is. So we're just going to bring that onto league. And I mean, look at that. That is about as clear as day as you'd want, really. Better on assists, much better on goals. He's better on key passes. He's better on pass completion. His shots on target, his tackles won. The only area that he doesn't do better is his tackle completion ratio, and he covers a little bit less ground. Zviggy has just been better than Robban this season in every single area. And Robban's still been excellent this year, don't get me wrong, he's been fantastic, but Zviggy's just performed that little bit better. Maybe Robban over a full season, maybe, I don't know, maybe he's just not the exact type of player we need. He had that one fantastic match, and he did have a better second half of the year, but I still think, though, this is calling out for it. If we could find a striker that isn't absolutely godly, and I do want to try a complete forward next year, then maybe there is an opportunity to take this tactic to the next level and find like a 40-goal-a-season striker, maybe even 50. That's kind of what we need, really. Although I don't think he'd ever get that, no matter who we got, because he'd have to miss games in the league and whatnot. But I still think we can find a player that can definitely get us 30 in the league. There's no doubt about that. This tactic is calling out for it. It's just about finding the right player. And I'm not used to scouting strikers in this save, so we're definitely going to have to do that this summer, and maybe that's an area to spend some of that 50 million transfer fund on. It's undeniable that we need to look at that. So Zviggy, well done, mate. Robban, well done, mate, as well, but you're just not as good as old Matty Zvigs. So finally, let's move on to some wingers. So last but not least, we're on to wingers. I've excluded Max Smith because he only made 200 minutes of appearances this year. Everybody else, even Victor Hugo, has made a decent number of minutes this season. 1,200 is all right. A lot of substitute appearances probably drag his average rating down, as you can see. That's fine, though. So we know for a fact that Mr. Lisek is going to be miles out in front. Vastly better than Victor Hugo, as you can see. Saavedra, though, has massively outperformed Campagnaro in terms of goals. So that's nice to see. 6 years his junior, and they're about even now. So I think Saavedra is probably earning his first team starting spot for next season over Campagnaro, particularly if Campagnaro were to leave in the summer. I would definitely need to try and invest in that right-hand side, though. Very, very important. Lisek, absolutely an insane season with 18 goals in all competitions, is phenomenal compared to Victor Hugo. But I do think that we're fine for next year, though, because we'll have Lisek, we'll also have Donny Waterberg coming back, and then Victor Hugo in behind him still. So we'll have 3 solid players that can play in that role. Waterberg will definitely be staying with the club, particularly now that we've lost Oprich. Not lost, but made a solid deal on him. So again, assists per 90 minutes. Really, really solid for Lisek. Campagnaro has definitely outperformed Saavedra on the assist side of things. So he's more creative, and he's been very, very good. Him and Lisek, actually. If we had Campagnaro's assists with Saavedra's goals, we'd be really, really rocking. That's why Rafael Rodriguez was so good. He was doing both. Get you a guy that can do both. Victor Hugo, very, very poor overall. Chances created follows a similar pattern. No surprises there. Cross completion, very important. Lisek flying out in front of everybody else, demolishing Victor Hugo on that side of things. Campagnaro is slightly behind Saavedra again, so Saavedra putting up some decent numbers for the youngster. 6 years his junior, remember. Pass completion, all over a reasonable... Oh, falling over my words here. I'm having a stroke, lads. Key passes. Blaise Lisek out in front. Again, Campagnaro slightly better, and that would explain his assists. Saavedra slightly down on that one. We might have to do a comparison between those two more than anything. Lisek has won, hands down, every single category, basically. Shots on target percentage. Okay, maybe not quite. Dribbles per game. Lisek. And Victor Hugo, not too bad, actually, but Lisek really, really good at 2.54 is excellent. Saavedra dribbling a lot more than Campagnaro as well. Covering some decent ground. Victor Hugo's not quite up on that. 9 man of the match awards for Lisek is ridiculous. He is just been godly this year and still only 19. I think next year is the year that he gets like 8 caps for Poland. And is there a World Cup coming up soon? I don't know. There might be something this summer, actually. I'm trying to think. It was 2018, there was 2022, 26. Yeah, there's a World Cup this summer. I don't know if Poland are qualifying, but if they are, then I imagine Lisicki will be in the World Cup squad. Maybe with Viggy as well. He's definitely going to be getting a lot more appearances next year, and he got 37 this year. I think is the year that... This has been a breakout year for him, but I think next year is the year that he starts to become an absolute world beater. I want 20 goals in all comps and maybe even 20 assists as well. That's a lot to ask, but I think he's capable of doing it. What I want to really do, though, is compare Saavedra and Campagnaro, just to finish things off here. Just to take a little look. So we want league overall, 21 versus 14. Right, okay, so goals per 90 minutes, Saavedra, much, much better. Assists per 90 minutes, Campagnaro, much, much better. Much better on the key passes. Pass completion is slightly better. Shots on target ratio is much better. Tackles as well. Tackles 1 ratio. I mean... Saavedra scores more goals, which is interesting considering his finishing is way worse. But Campagnaro is better in every other area still. And that says a lot to me. Like he got 6 assists in 14 starts in the league. Is actually really, really good. How are we doing on attributes then? I mean, look at how disparate... Like, it's so different. Like, Campagnaro can finish for days, and he's only mildly better in the crossing. He's got a way worse first touch. He's better in the air, obviously, and he's got a very good long throw. Not that that's that important. Well, it kind of is important, but we've got better players in that role anyway. Penalties, not that important. Technique is better. But Saavedra is really good on the mental side of things. He's a great leader. He's got good teamwork. He's got excellent stuff there. But on the physical side of things, he is 4 inches taller than him. He's much more agile despite that. He's got great jumping reach. He's got good strength, stamina. I don't know. I think with Campagnaro, it is going to be about what kind of contract he's prepared to be accepting in the summer. If he still wants 50 grand a week or whatever, then it ain't going to happen, and he'll probably have to be moved on. Purely because I reckon we could probably get about £10 million for the guy, maybe. And I don't want to lose out on getting that kind of money. And I might have to look at another right winger, even if it costs us loads of money. But again, we've got money. It's just about finding the right players. And that's sort of where that kind of ends. So... in conclusion, just coming through the squad right now. So goalkeepers were fine on, but there's that Greek guy I'm interested anyway. Right backs, I would like to find another first choice right back or a youngster for the future, either way. Centre back, first choice if I can, definitely some youngsters. DM, definitely youngsters. CM, again, definitely youngsters. AM, not that bothered about that at all, but if we do find anyone amazing who's a youngster, I'll bring them in. Wingers, left-hand side were fine, but again, if I see anyone amazing. Right-hand side, definitely do need to do something about that, and we need to look for a striker as well. It's a big shopping list, I grant you, and it's sort of got certain priorities. There's certain areas that definitely need to be filled, and others that are more of if there's any time left. But I think that money-wise, we're actually good this year, and we might end up spending I have a feeling that we might end up signing someone for a ridiculous fee this summer. I feel like it's about time we finally use some of that financial clout we've built up to actually exercise that muscle a little bit and bring in someone fantastic, if I can find them and if they're willing to join. The wages are actually more of a problem than the transfer fees at this point, because we do have quite a tight wage structure that I've been very keen to keep hold of, just in case we have a lean year every now and then. So, that will conclude this episode. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so, word of the days, if you've got this far into the video. Okay, so I forgot to take a pizza box out. That's sitting right there. So the word of the day is going to be hold box flat. Drop that in the comments if you've got this far into the video. That'd be awesome. If you want to see more videos like this after every season, drop a like. That'd be cool as well. And if you're new, subscribble. That's cool as well. And I'll join you guys tomorrow for some transfer goodies, where hopefully I can start making good on some of these plans. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.